In today's breaking story, Pam Bondi has dropped a Charlie Kirk bomb, only to have it instantly backfire. That's right, things keep getting more and more out of hand. How's it going, everybody? Hunter Avalone here with Occupy Democrats. Welcome back to another video. Now, we have been non-stop covering Charlie Kirk. We've been covering all of the crucial updates, so make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss anything important. But still, Charlie Kirk continues to dominate the news cycle for obvious reasons. Now what we're seeing is how much Republicans are using Charlie Kirk's tragic death to further divide.
During moments like this, I believe we have a responsibility to be clear and unequivocal in calling out all forms of political violence and making clear it is all wrong. That shouldn't be hard to do. Unfortunately, some, from the dark corners of the internet all the way to the Oval Office, want to cherry pick which instances of political violence they want to condemn. Listen, doing that only further divides us, and it makes it harder to heal. There are some who will hear that selective condemnation and take it as a permission slip to commit more violence, so long as it suits their narrative or only targets the other side. Sadly, we've even seen some on the internet openly celebrate political violence or issue calls for revenge in the wake of it. Giving violence a pass or justifying it or looking the other way, it only deepens the divide. Let me be clear, violence is never okay, regardless of the motivation. Violence is never the answer. And we cannot allow violence to be used as a pretext for more violence. We must reject the rhetoric of vengeance and instead focus, as you are today, on the work of healing.
And of course, Donald Trump is guilty of this as well.
Trump says if Governor Walz had asked him to lower the flags after Melissa and Mark Hortman's murder, that he would have. But back in July, when I asked the president on Air Force One if he planned to call the governor, he told me he thought it would be a waste of time.
Have you called the governor yet or been able to speak to any of them?
I don't really call him. Look, he appointed this guy to a position. I think the governor of Minnesota is so whacked out. I'm not calling him. Why would I call him? I could call him and say, hi, how you doing? The guy doesn't have a clue. He's a mess. So, I could be nice and call him, but why waste time?
And now Pam Bondi has just dropped a Charlie Kirk bombshell, only to have it instantly backfire. That's right, take a look at today's top story.
That's horrific. It's free speech, but you shouldn't be employed anywhere if you're going to say that. And employers, you have an obligation to get rid of people. You need to look at people who are saying horrible things, and they shouldn't be working with you. Businesses cannot discriminate. If you want to go in and print posters with Charlie's pictures on them for a vigil, you have to let them do that. We can prosecute you for that. I have Harmeet Dillon right now in our civil rights unit looking at that. Immediately that Office Depot had done that. We're looking at that.
Attorney General Pam Bondi is facing backlash from an unlikely place, her own Republican base. On Monday, Bondi appeared on the Katie Miller podcast and insisted that hate speech is not protected by the First Amendment. She claimed that in the wake of Charlie Kirk's assassination, the Justice Department would absolutely target individuals engaging in what she described as hate speech.
There's free speech and then there's hate speech. And there is no place, especially now, especially after what happened to Charlie, in our society.
Do you see more law enforcement going after these groups who are using hate speech and putting cuffs on people so we show them that some action is better than no action?
We will absolutely target you, go after you, if you are targeting anyone with hate speech, anything, and that's across the aisle.
But the push to criminalize so-called hate speech has triggered outrage from conservative commentators who accuse Bondi of betraying core principles of free expression. MAGA influencers quickly pointed out that Charlie Kirk himself once tweeted, "Hate speech does not exist legally in America." Daily Wire's Matt Walsh blasted Bondi, writing, "Get rid of her. Today. This is insane. Conservatives have fought for decades for the right to refuse service to anyone. We won that fight. Now Pam Bondi wants to roll it all back for no reason. We need the AG focused on bringing down the left-wing terror cells, not prosecuting Office Depot, for God's sake." Other conservative voices piled on. Savannah Hernandez labeled Bondi's stance destructive and demanded she be removed from office. Dave Rubin called for her immediate resignation. Mike Cernovich tied her comments to what he described as her botched handling of Jeffrey Epstein's case, declaring she isn't ready for this moment. And radio host Eric Erickson didn't mince words, posting, "Our Attorney General is apparently a moron." By Tuesday morning, Bondi was already backpedaling, posting on X that only speech crossing into threats of violence is unprotected, but the damage may be done. The uproar highlights a remarkable moment MAGA is turning on one of its own for pushing a position conservatives have spent decades opposing. For many, Bondi's comments represent not just a bad legal argument, but a betrayal of the very First Amendment values the movement claims to defend. The question now, will this backlash fade away, or is Pam Bondi about to become the next casualty of the culture war inside MAGA world? Thanks so much for watching. Please click that like button and subscribe to Occupy Democrats so that you can stay informed and help us stop Donald Trump.